Hello and welcome to The Hero Spouse. I'm Kendra Ruth, here to answer one of your questions about marriage and midlife crisis. Today I'm going to combine two because they're basically the same topic. So they are both female left behind spouses. The first has a bomb drop of October 2018. She has a date of marriage of 2004. Her spouse is a clinging boomerang and a low energy wallower. I will read her question and then I'll go on to the next one. There's no known alienator and he doesn't live at home. In September 2021, he had a major awakening and has cycled and been processing since. He's connected back to his family, our children, and has started home improvements. Things overall have been going really well. About 5 weeks ago, he became really quiet, quieter than normal, or than normal cycles, but still very nice. It felt like he was really avoiding. 2 weeks ago, he called me and asked if I was seeing anyone. I replied no, but he clearly knew that. The next night, he came and picked me up and took me to where he has been staying. I'd never been there. He showed me around and introduced me to some of his friends. He hasn't done that in 4 years. And he didn't retreat afterwards. That's a big deal. Then last week, he called and asked if he could stay the night at home and asked if I wanted him to. I responded yes, but also asked him if he'll regret it tomorrow. He said no. He's back to quiet again now. I'm so confused. Now let's read the next one. Our next one is again a female left behind spouse who is anonymous. Her bomb drop is August of 2018, so they have similar timelines, September and August of the same year. Date of marriage is 1993. She has a boomerang who is a low energy wallower. She says, my last question I asked you was about our family holiday where my MLCer became a sullen, ungrateful teenager. Now, we spent a lovely night 2 weeks ago when he dropped something off. We had dinner and caught up on news. After that, there was little contact from him. Last weekend, we saw each other for 3 days straight. His family was visiting to have a look at our new house. We purchased it together, but I live there with our grown sons. We spent Saturday with family, and my husband seemed resentful and distant toward me. So much so that another family member commented about it. On Sunday, we had the family for lunch, and this time he was like his old, kind, loving self and lovely towards me. He and his brother stayed long after everyone had left, just the 3 of us catching up and talking. It was a lovely day and great to have family together for lunch, as it doesn't happen often. Then Monday morning, he returned to collect his car, and he couldn't get away fast enough. After almost 4 years of this crisis, I haven't seen as much resentment or the mood swings since prior to bomb drop. He still hasn't mentioned anything about our relationship or his feelings or struggles. I'm continuing to detach and find my own way. I love my husband very much and hope one day he will feel it. I just want to know your thoughts on these present behaviors. So, we have some similar things going on. One of them seems a little bit more committed without having verbalized it to the reconnection and toward reconciliation process. And that first one especially seems like he's really solidifying in without a conversation about it, unless there's been a conversation that I haven't been privy to. But what I want to talk about is the stages of the crisis and how the crisis often works when we come to the end. So we use the metaphor of a tunnel. We use the metaphor of a train, but we also use that metaphor of a tunnel, so the train is in a tunnel. At the beginning of the tunnel, you can see the light at the end, at the start. At the end of the tunnel, you can see the light. MLC gets worse before it gets better. That's really when it becomes dark and you can't see the light on either end. It's becoming worse. They lose any idea of empathy if they had small tidbits of it. They start caring less. They become even more selfish. Things get worse. They deny the problems. It's fine. The kids are fine. And they did that in the beginning. They double down, triple, quadruple down on those things. And they get to a point where they may really believe them. They're gaslighting themselves often. But in the beginning, or at the end, when they can see the real world out there, and they might be interacting with the real world even though they're in their alien form, there's still little bits getting to them. They're sending mixed messages because I call it little bouts of clarity where they pop up in the tunnel. Maybe there's little holes. Take a tunnel vacation. But really, it's that light at the beginning. and they are scared, and they see what they've done, and they run back into the tunnel at the end. They are afraid of what they are doing, but they are being pulled in. That black hole of darkness has a lot of energy and great force to pull them in at the beginning. But the mixed messages, they're fighting it. They don't want to go in. They don't want it. And they're seeing the confusion in you. They're seeing the questions from you. You're pulling them back because you're begging, pleading often. Your desperation, because you're shocked. You're having anxiety. And there's a lot of chaos. We see this with clinging boomerangs, and it seems to last throughout, sometimes with the mixed messages and the cycling. But there's more cycling at the beginning and the end. So now we're at the end again, and they're going cycling again. I just talked about this in another one where what we see when we come to near the end is there might be a return or a new mini replay or escape and avoid in the final stages. Heart's Blessings has said that they return to the previous stages to shut the door. But I don't want anyone to think that when you return to a previous stage, does that mean it's the same foot pattern and the same timeline to come back? No. That's why I say it's a mini escape and avoid as part of the reintegration process. Reintegration being the final stage. Jim Conway would have called this acceptance. So you have escape and avoid, which is where you have bomb drop. Then you have liminality. Then you have this bridge that I call rebirth. I think this is the same area Jim Conway would have called withdrawal. And then you have reintegration. You're reintegrating into society. But you reintegrate, I'm not perfect yet. It's a process of reintegration. Cross the bridge back over and revise, edit. Liminality is that part where of metaphorical dismemberment, and now you put yourself together. So you're editing and revising. So you cross back over the bridge, and then you try to reintegrate again. Nope, fix some more things. So it's back and forth. In reintegration, we can also think of it rather than crossing back. We can think of it as moving forward, and you come along that liminality again. Then you come along that escape and avoid again. And so what you'll see is a mini escape and avoid. And it confuses people because their spouse has been doing so well. They didn't even have an affair. They were done with the alienator. Maybe there's a new alienator or a prospect, or the old one pops up again, and now they're doing all the hiding. They're acting like they were right in the beginning of replay, right in the beginning of escape and avoid. What's going on? I thought we'd done this before. I can't do this again. It's common. It's normal. I don't know that it happens with every one of them. Heart's Blessings felt that it happened with all of them. But that doesn't mean that it's going to happen in the same manner either. They don't all go back to having an affair for a little while. But you are going to see more of that idea of withdrawal and escape and avoid and hiding. And the avoidance is what's really important. That they are becoming quiet. Remember he's becoming quiet again. I don't know why. He couldn't get away fast enough again. They need space to process what's happening. And they still need it. We talked about that in the beginning, that your MLC is going to go away, and MLCs almost always leave. They talk about divorce, all of these different things, and then it gets better, if it does. But then it gets worse again. And I want you to understand it's just part of the midlife crisis process. And in that sense, you're getting close to the better part. It's getting better and better. And then it got worse. So I want you to feel some reassurance in that what you're experiencing is normal. You can still set some boundaries. I also want you to set some reassurances with them. You know what? I want you to let them know that it is safe to withdraw. It looks like you need some space. It's okay. In fact, maybe a good idea would be to discuss, if you have had these discussions about them coming home or they've talked about it, saying, you know what, what's also important is that we have our own space and time, because this journey that we've been on together and separate and together and separate, this journey has taught me that we both need our own personal time. That might be a few minutes in each day. That might be an occasional weekend, but we need time, kind of like a man cave. where we aren't going to be disrupted or bothered by each other. And that's important. And sometimes you need it now too. And I want you to know that I feel safe. I want you to feel safe. Feel safe with that. Now, you might not feel safe. You could say, I'm really sorry that I seem scared. But I recognize this. Sometimes you want to validate that I'm sorry I did this. If you pursued too much. But this is why understanding midlife crisis can be so important. If you know this is just part of the end, it can help you in keeping and maintaining that stand, because they are getting closer and closer. We have one who's described as a boomerang. I still wonder if he's really a clinging boomerang or has more clinging tendencies. And a clinging boomerang. The closer the contactor, the more clinging, the greater the chances of reconciliation. You're both doing really well. I just want you to get some acceptance of what this process means and reassure them that it's okay. It's okay. You don't have to answer to me. And I know you're doing your best. We don't have to talk every day. We don't have to talk every week. But if you need me, and we're talking need, not needy, I'm here for you. I just want you to know, I believe in you. It's those reassurances. I believe in you, but help them feel safe, not having to answer to you, not having to always communicate with you. Feel safe and let them know that you understand. I hope this was helpful, and let me know if you have any more questions. I feel like I've left bits out. So let me know if you have any more questions about this topic of that ending piece. And I will see everybody else in the next question.